tradition, courage, honor. They are what make us. We are the warriors of Tsushima. We are samurai!
When it comes to stories of good versus evil, you'd be hard-pressed to find a studio more weathered in the concept than Sucker Punch. The Infamous series is, well, infamous for giving players the choice between two binary paths, so who better to tackle ancient Japan, an era well known as Exhibit A of honor-bound warriors? Indeed, the story of Ghost of Tsushima does wet its feet in the waters of ambiguity, and while it offers little player choice in the way of which path to take, Jin Sakai's story feels like the perfect evolution for the minds behind Cole McGrath and Delson Rowe. Fans of Sucker Punch's previous works will likely feel right at home here. As a samurai led to do whatever is necessary to save his people from the Mongol invasion, the main theme of the story is the internal struggle of Jin's moral compass. The potential for interesting storytelling around this core theme is plentiful, and while the story contains a few memorable moments, particularly towards the bombastic conclusion, the theme isn't explored with a tremendous amount of depth. Some performances promise intriguing character arcs, but if you're hot off the heels of The Last of Us Part 2, you'll likely be left disappointed as nuance whittles away in the wind. It's a perfectly tenable story, mind you. Characters such as the barbaric Khoten Khan are clearly written with care and attention, and perhaps the story is befitting to a game of this caliber. In a lot of ways it could be exactly what you're looking for. It's a fairly straightforward narrative arc with predictable outcomes, but it's held together nicely by strong performances from the Japanese cast, whom you'll hear if you choose to play with the game's unique, though slightly obtrusive Kurosawa mode, which alters the game's beautifully vibrant palette for something more monochrome. The English cast isn't quite as strong, with accents slipping on occasion and unconvincing portrayals of emotion. Though passable as the performances are, it's a small price to pay for a more leisurely experience which comes with the English voiceover. While I doubt many would jump to the comparison, Ghost of Tsushima is a far less intense affair than its most recent counterpart, Sekiro. It still fills me with joy to block at just the right moment, parrying my enemy's attack and opening him up to a critical strike, but open combat is a much larger affair here. One of the most satisfying abilities in Jin's samurai arsenal is the standoff. With the press of a button, I'm able to call out to a group of would-be colonizers and take them out one by one in a scene so dramatically cliché, you'd think it was taking place in Kurosawa's front room. While it is a uniquely satisfying experience to take on increasingly large groups of baddies with my katana, an endeavour that perhaps lets me feel more powerful than I really am, I eventually decide to hang up my longsword and trade it in for something shorter. This of course being the wakizashi, the katana's shorter but equally as deadly little brother. The title Ghost of Tsushima naturally indicates an inclination towards the more hushed tones of death, a promise it more than lives up to. While it's true the stealth gameplay begins as bare bones as you can imagine, with enemies as dull as an overused blade and takedown mechanics present since the Dark Ages, it soon opens up as Jin's assortment of abilities increases. To give one example, the Shoji assassination is a stylish offense, allowing me to pierce a Mongol's swishy bits through a paper door. Used in combination with the chain assassination, short bow and even a blowgun, the Ghost eventually evolves into a satisfyingly powerful and silent killer. You could simply use these tactics to your own advantage, serving only the main story, or you could go to the aid of the people of Tsushima, growing your legend in the process. The map is littered with a noteworthy amount of activities to be sure, some befitting of a samurai and some less so. The world is a joy to roam, with especially well realised environments seemingly sculpted with photo mode in mind. Factor in that the music often lends itself to the impression Sucker Punch uses the vocal cords of angels as their own personal sound system. The caveat to all this being, the activities themselves are quite uninspired. With every enemy camp burned down, I become more numb to the process, and with every new trailing mission, I wonder why there isn't a more elegant execution for this level structure. Layered atop the tense combat, this checklist is one I'm happy to make my way through, but I can't help the recurring feeling that I'm playing a game from 5 years ago. That being said, Ghost of Tsushima isn't without innovation. One mechanic in need of highlighting is the ingenious waypoint system. When you mark a point of interest on your map, instead of being welcomed back to the world with a glowing neon line, the wind will turn and point you towards your destination. This serves as a rather profound way of engaging you with the exuberant environments and removing the need for the ironically age-old minimap. Then there's the matter of traversal. Besides the rather clunky implementation of Sony's trademark climbing mechanics, most of the Ghost's travel plans are on the vertical plane. In an era where we've been spoiled by giddy-em-ups like Red Dead Redemption 2, the demand for tight and realistic horse controls is at an all-time high. For Ghost of Tsushima, another game where the horse is the main, nay, the only means of traversal outside of running and fast travel, the horse lends itself to a feeling of responsiveness. What it gains in tight controls and the efficiency of picking up resources at Olympian pace, it loses in authenticity. Jin's trusty steed feels more like an extension of the player rather than a sentient creature. So while I'm riding around the coasts of Tsushima, I have no trouble stopping every few minutes to take photos and marvel in awe at the island's wonder. Thankfully, Sucker Punch has included one of the most feature-complete photo modes to date, filled with options and settings that would make Ansel Adams blush. Features such as film grain and vignette sliders are missed, but it's hard to complain with the power of the sun and moon at your fingertips. That is to say, you can change the time of day, an option I wish more games afforded me. But Ghost of Tsushima goes beyond the still image and delivers options for awe-inspiring animations. I can make the wind blow the foliage around to add more drama to the frame, add background music, or even several different types of leaves. It's not the best for capturing the emotions in a character's face, but for creating bite-sized displays of the dramatic samurai era, there really is no better tool to show off the beauty of Tsushima. I believe the island of Tsushima harbours countless hours of enjoyment for many types of people. While I do wish more substance was afforded to the masses of side content, and even many of the story missions, a healthy combat system gives plenty of longevity to the checklist of Mongol bases to assault. With the ability to charge straight in with zeal or take enemies out one by one in the dead of night, there's plenty of agency over how to approach each encounter, even if the stealth mechanics often feel outdated. The path for the Ghost himself is predetermined, but as a story of this particular era, you'd be hard pressed to find something as intriguing and entertaining. That was just one of many great reviews, previews, and essays on our channel. If you like what you just saw, maybe consider subscribing to be notified when new ones go live. You could also listen to our weekly podcast where we cover the latest video game news, and leave a like and a comment on this video if you feel so inclined.